Hi everyone. So today I'm making a vanilla and lemon cake. And so the vanilla cake, I added some poppy seeds in, and I have some regular Italian meringue buttercream in, and I also have some lemon curd over here in which I will be filling the cake. And I've got two layers, a layer you can't see, and then this layer. These are 6-inch cakes, and I just use some lemon simple syrup to make them taste a little lemony. It's kind of like a lemon poppy seed cake. So first, since this is going to be a naked cake, I want to make sure that the sides are pretty much intact. So I made sure to actually keep the caramelization for this cake. And so I'm going to pipe a border around the edge. And you want this border to be kind of thick, but not too thick and not too close to the edge in which it comes out of the cake. So you want it high and tall, but not too close to the edge of the cake where it will come out. And so I'm just going to pipe a little bit on the inside, like so. And then I'm just going to use my little scraper and just make kind of a layer on the inside. And this also pushes out the dam of frosting, and just kind of leveling it out because this is where I'm going to put my lemon curd. So I want to make sure there's enough space for the lemon curd to go. So like on the sides where I see that there's a little bit too much frosting coming up to the dam, I just kind of scrape some of it out so that there's more of a space for it to go. But I do want to make sure that every bite has some sort of frosting in it. Since it's a naked cake, there is not frosting on the outside. So I'm just going to touch up a little bit of the border just to make sure that it's tall enough. And then my lemon curd that I made earlier. And I'm just going to use a scraper and scrape some of it into the middle of the cake. And I'm just going to spread it around here. And one of the big things about this is just to try and not disrupt the border so that the lemon curd does not come out. But if it does, that's fine too, because there's not much you can do about it. So it's more of a problem you have to fix when it happens. And then I'm just going to take some frosting and just cover up the lemon curd. And I'm using a piping bag for this just because it's a little bit easier. I don't really want to make a lot of disruptions to the cake, since a lot of the cake will be visible. And so I'm just gonna clean up the places in which I have less frosting. And I actually had a lot of trouble fixing the Italian meringue buttercream frosting because I tend to find that it's a little too buttery. And so I found a flavor that was good, but the consistency was horrible. So that was kind of a struggle. I had to figure out how to save the buttercream without putting in too much butter to make it buttery.
What happened?
And so it like curdled.
It didn't curdle. It just kind of clumped.
Yeah, so I had to keep whipping. And so I'm just going to kind of like push the cake down a little bit. Good afternoon to you too. Hope your family are doing well as well. And I'm going to push the cake down, but not too much to where the lemon curd comes out. And I'm just going to take my frosting, and when I see some pieces that seem a little bit underdone. I'm just going to fill those in. And this just tends to come from putting the top of the cake of that layer onto the middle. So it isn't as flat as it would normally if you put a flat layer on. Just kind of like that. And then I like to use my scraper and try not to get any on the actual cake. And just kind of scrape some of it off, make it more clean. And try and fill in that edges. Remember, this is where the frosting comes. So if you don't like frosting in cakes, naked cakes are for you. But at the same time, you can also make naked cakes where it's very frosting dominant, because you can have a huge layer of frosting. Yes, you should definitely try this out. It's just a plain vanilla cake, but I added some poppy seeds in. And then I made some lemon simple syrup from 1 part sugar to 1 part water, which is about 1 cup sugar and 1 cup water. But instead of 1 cup water, as a normal simple syrup would be, I just substituted for 1/2 cup water and 1/2 cup lemon juice. And so on the top here, I'm just going to be piping some frosting. And so my frosting bags kind of run out. So I'm going to fill it up some more with some of my leftover frosting, which is off screen. And Italian meringue is kind of an interesting frosting. I kind of have trouble with it, especially in terms of making the sugar syrup and getting the egg whites beating at the right time. I'm just kind of going to get the frosting to move down a little bit so I can put some more in the bag, just so I can do some piping on the top and just to finish it off. Of course, got to lick my fingers. Can't be a home baker without that. Oh. Okay. Now I'm trying to get some of the air out of it. I'm just going to squeeze a little bit back into my bowl. I'm going to finish off the top layer of frosting, just kind of spreading it around, and then I'm going to use my scraper and just spread the frosting to kind of make an even layer. Nothing too spectacular, just trying to keep the sides clean. Like there, I kind of messed up the side a little bit, but easy to fix. And just making it flat and smooth. And if you find a spot that has a little bit less, you just kind of push the frosting over to make it more smooth. And then I just like to go around with a scraper and just kind of use my scraper to pick up some of the excess frosting from the sides. And just kind of smooth down the edge of the frosting on top. And now I'm going to change the piping tip. Yes, the plastic cup is definitely a staple. You just use any cup that you would use to drink out of and just pop the piping bag in. And you can flip the piping bag over the side, and pretty easy to use. So I'm going to use a star tip. Looks kind of like this. It's got points and it's open. And this is the tip I'm going to use for doing the top. It's just some little swirls on top, and I'm going to fill the center with a little bit more of the lemon curd. So I'm just going to pipe it out. I'm going to first check what the style is on the wax paper I have underneath me. You can't see it, but it's just an open star tip, and then I'm just going to start piping. And I like to make 8. Yes, and this is going to be my my food that I'm going to eat during my rides, because why eat gels when you can have cake? And I'm just trying to kind of make them the same size. You know, some of them don't end up being the same size, like there, it was a little off center, but it's okay. And then keep filling it, trying to make the spaces as even as possible. And then I'm just going to take my tiny spatula and a tiny little bit of lemon curd and just put it in the center. Just kind of spread it around. Try not to disturb your little dollops. I probably should have done this first in hindsight, but you know, it's okay. Just got to be very, very careful. Put a little bit more on. And just trying to make this kind of even as possible, more or less. And that's it. Yes, it's definitely carb-centric. It's a carb-centric dish. The lemon curd on top kind of looks like an egg, but it's okay. It looks pretty good. And that's it. It's a nice naked cake with simple decorations on the top, and pretty easy, not very difficult to make. As you show, the whole assembly only took less than 15 minutes. So yes, thank you for watching, and hope you make some soon.